Okay, so in this practice, we use a type of movement that is with resistance. So while you're elongating a muscle, you're also engaging it. That's going to change the fascial tissue in your body, which is different than the muscles that you use. So it takes more repetitions to change your fascia than it does your muscle. It responds after a longer period of time, and it has a memory. So like if you pull on your shirt like this and then you let it go, it springs back. That's what your fascia does too. If you've created a whole lot of movement habits that have engaged over a long period of time, it's going to take the form of like your shirt. And so if you do a stretch, like in a yoga class, and you get to the end range and then you let it go, when you go back to your old habits, it's going to take the same form as before. But with adding a little bit of resistance to your movement, it transforms the tissue in a more profound way, you could say. And that's just my take on it. So today, let's try to add a little bit of resistance, and you can see how you feel. For some of you, it might feel a little bit different if you've been used to doing a yoga practice where you're stretching out as far as you can and waiting until you get that stretch sensation. It might feel like a little bit stifling at first, but also notice how you feel afterwards, especially if you're really mobile, like if you're a dancer and you're used to like getting a ton of length in your hamstring and all the way down. Now what we're interested in is moving through the entire range and engaging the whole time. So you might not actually go as far because what we're using is our ability to kind of rebound from the movement, not get out to the ends and hang out. You'll see what I mean. But let's try this first. So just make a bicep curl with one arm. And then extend your arm out and don't think about resisting. And where you feel the stretch is probably right at the very end, right? Do you feel a little something there that you would associate with a stretch? Okay, cool. But as you're doing it, do you feel much on the path to getting there? Not really, right? We're just concentrating on the end range. So a lot of times when we get into a practice, that's what we're chasing, is that feeling at the very end. We're like, okay, I'm here at my edge where I'm going to increase my range of motion. But what happens if you do this? Make a fist and contract your muscle a lot. Now keep contracting your bicep, but now extend your arm. So you're still able to move, but you're more engaged. Does that feel different? For me, since I've been doing this a little bit longer, I actually feel a lot more sensation throughout. Like it feels like I'm getting a stretch as I'm doing it. If you have a lot of fascia built up in that area, you might not feel like much. It might just feel challenging, but you don't have a lot of sensation. Either way, I want you to start thinking about engaging like this throughout every movement that we do in our practice today and see if it makes a difference. Now that's like one level up. Sometimes it's really nice to have a helper person or a helper hand get you over that hump. So if I made my fist like this, if I'm resisting as hard as I can, there's no way that I can move my arm out with just my mind. But I can use my helper hand. So now you're going to take your helper hand, and you might have to resist a little less, but you can definitely resist more as you push your arm out. And you might feel how that's even a little bit more intense. So we have engagement and elongation without the helper, which is still quite valuable. And then we have the engagement with the helper, which might level you up even more. Call it the level up. So we can find ways in our practice, and we'll do this all together, but we can find ways to use the floor as our helper. So I can resist by kicking my heel back and then lever to really open up my hamstring, where most of us have a lot of fascial buildup in the back. So it's really useful to have some kind of outside force to help you with that.